and welcome to Rye Toast. This slice is entitled Cool Moss in Maui: How Walking on Fire Helped a Man Find His Feet and Live His Life. When I was just a little kid in England, right in the middle of the 20th century, in the ancient times before most people had television sets, my mum and I used to listen to a program on BBC Radio each morning. It was called, appropriately, Listen with Mother. Every day, a nice lady would read a story, and she would always start with the words, "Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin." So, are you sitting comfortably? Or driving to work comfortably? Or walking to class comfortably? Or cooking a meal comfortably? Or doing whatever you're doing comfortably? Then I'll begin. Now, every good story needs a hero or heroine, preferably both. Our hero's name is Michael, and he has a couple of pretty big hero problems. Number one, at the age of 44, he is struggling to find the next steps on his stairway of life. And number two, he is struggling to provide for his family. Michael is in love with Madeline. They have been married for 23 years and have two lovely daughters, aged 21 and 18. Madeline is our heroine, and she has only one problem, but it's a big one. Her problem is Michael. 2 years earlier, Michael has left his management job at a high tech company to follow his dream of starting his own business as a personal development consultant and trainer. And now he's come face to face with the reality that following your dream can sometimes be a bit of a nightmare. But remember, Michael is a hero, and heroes don't give up just because they're broke, especially when they're married to a heroine who has a job as a teacher, which is keeping them afloat. So, like all good heroes, he decides to embark on a voyage of discovery that will take him halfway around the world to find the secret that he is convinced will turn their lives and fortunes around. He will attend a 2-week personal development program on the Hawaiian island of Maui. And since Madeline also loves Michael and wants him to be happy, she sighs, rolls her eyes, and with that old familiar sinking feeling she has had many times before, watches him sign the checks. Remember those? For the tuition and travel money that they can't afford. And so, our hero embarks on an arduous, storm tossed 4,000-mile voyage across mountains and sea, and after many weeks of sickness, near starvation, and fighting monsters. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong story. Let me try that again. And so, our hero embarks on an arduous 13-hour economy class Air Canada journey to Maui, including a 2-hour stopover in San Francisco. And now, 2 weeks later, on a warm July evening in 1991, after much learning and many challenges, our hero and several thousand other pilgrims from around the world are lining up to undertake one of the final and most dramatic elements of their journey: walking on fire. Or to be more exact, walking barefoot over a 20-foot long bed of coals heated to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit with the objective of reaching the other side unscathed. Now, just in case you're wondering how hot 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit actually is, it's about 3 times the temperature required to oven roast a turkey. Over the last couple of hours, Michael has been led through an intense set of preparation drills to help achieve the necessary emotional and mental state. And as he files out into the fragrant Hawaiian air, laced with the aroma of burning charcoal, he feels ready to complete his quest for knowledge. As the line moves closer to the fire pit, he can clearly see those ahead and around him striding out onto the glowing surface as the heat and noise intensify. And then it's his turn. A helper grips his arm and reminds him to chant the mantra he has learned: "Cool, 'Cool, 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 and steps forward. Okay, before I continue, I need to tell you the very important rules he has been taught about how to walk on fire. I've already shared rule one, that you must be in the right emotional and mental state. Rule two is not to look down at the fire, but to keep your head up and your eyes focused ahead. Rule three is to walk at an even pace. Don't dawdle and don't run. Reciting the mantra Cool Moss is the fourth rule. That will keep our hero's mind focused on what to do at the end. Wipe his feet on the cool moss of the ground. But in the next few seconds, Michael will manage to break every one of those important rules. But he does get off to a good start. He focuses his eyes up and beyond the end of the pit and confidently takes the first step. Cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. Then another. Cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. He feels the heat, but it's comfortably warm. This feels good. Cool moss, cool moss. And then, at about the 2/3 of the way mark, he suddenly thinks, WTF am I doing here? And the doubt causes him to look down at the coals, which knocks him out of state. And he stops reciting his mantra. All right, let me stop a moment to get a glass of water to calm myself down and apologize to you. I know I should have warned you in advance that this story might trigger stress and anxiety. That's better. Where was I? Oh, yes. What will become of our hero? And how will Madeline react when she learns that her beloved has been barbecued? Will she ever again be able to order a double toasted muffin at Tim Hortons without bursting into tears? But wait a minute. In all good stories, the hero must face adversity and be pushed to the very brink of disaster before winning out in the end. And so it is with Michael. Realizing his raw spuds are in danger of becoming baked potatoes, he jerks his head up, doubles his pace, and goes into overdrive, chanting, Cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. Suddenly, he's over the line and wiping his feet vigorously on the actual cool moss, and his feet are being hosed down to ensure that no nasty hot cinders are left between his toes. The last rule is to celebrate, which he manages to do even though his tootsies still feel a little tender. Within an hour, a couple of small blisters appear on the balls of his feet, but they will disappear overnight without any treatment. Well, fast forward a couple of days. Our shaken but unbowed hero is reflecting on his search for hidden truth and his brush with disaster as he sips his complimentary Air Canada wine on the flight back to Toronto. And he ponders how he is going to explain all of this to Madeline. Now, it so happens that pondering is something that Michael thinks he is quite good at. Although Madeline disputes this, she thinks he's too impulsive. Go figure. It means to think about something carefully, especially before making a decision or reaching a conclusion. If you've never pondered, I highly recommend periodic pondering practice. Michael first pondered on how disappointed he was with his firewalk performance. It was like being at school and failing an exam, or worse still, dropping out without completing the exam. But after a time, he pondered that the firewalk was just one piece of the overall 2-week experience, albeit a spectacular one. So he pondered on a broader perspective. And he pondered on the telegraph pole climbing exercise, where he had got almost to the top before losing his balance and falling off, safe from injury by a safety rope. And the more he pondered, the more he began to recognize a repeated pattern in his life of early success frittered away by letting doubts creep in and allowing them to prevent him reaching his goals. And with that recognition, he wondered if he had found one of the life keys that he had been looking for, and he pondered taking action on it. And that single revelation led to another, and then another, from less dramatic parts of the program, which taken together led to some powerful realization about the direction of his life and what he needed to do to get it on track. So you're probably wondering, with all this pondering, When he stepped off the plane and returned to his heroine and the lovely daughters, did his life change? Well, not immediately, but in the months and years following, many things did change as the lessons learned sunk in and began to influence his decisions and direction. It occurred to him that a struggling personal development consultant was a bit like a broke financial planner. It lacked a certain credibility. So he found a job with a company that not only satisfied his personal independence and financial needs, but also gave him the chance to apply his learning to building successful teams. And in a short time, that earned him the freedom and satisfaction he had been looking for all along, that he had thought he would never get if he worked for someone else. So in the end, Michael made good pondering progress on his two problems. One, he found a new direction, and two, he was able to better provide for his family. Madeline still had to shake her head and sigh from time to time at Michael's antics. But he wasn't as big a problem as he had once been, although how much less is still a matter of debate between them today. And she would also find her own heroic calling. Also in coaching and mentoring, as it happened, helping special needs adults master the life skills that would allow them to flourish and grow. And as for the lovely daughters, they each became the heroines of their own voyages of discovery, establishing their own personal and financial independence, and finding their own heroes to share their life journeys with, and producing their own little heroes and heroines. So, what remains to be said? Oh, I know. The moral of the story. There has to be a moral, right? And here it is, that what appears in the moment to be failure can actually lead to a lifetime of learning, achievement, and joy. And over the years, Michael has found that the more he failed, the more he learned, the more he grew, and the happier he became. So until next time, cool moss, 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 cool moss. WTF!